Previously, in episode 9 of Fully Vetted, we sat down with Steve Kalm to talk about his 1964 C2 Corvette, so be sure to catch that interview. Today, we continue the story with Steve and chat about his 1970 C3 Corvette. Enjoy the show. Good morning, Steve.
Morning.
Welcome again to Fully Vetted. We're in episode 3 now of an 8-episode journey that we're taking with you to go over your Corvette Evolution Collection. And we have in front of us here a beautiful C3 that we're going to talk about today. And I'm excited. C3s are my favorite year of Corvettes. And so this will be kind of fun to go over the details with this and hear your story. So give me a little bit about the story about the purchase of this car first, how it came to be, and then we'll talk about the details of what the options that the car has.
This is my third C3. My first one was a 76 that was owned by a member of the Corvette Club of Utah. And that person moved to Atlanta to go through some chemotherapy with his daughter. He was getting it and his daughter was going to take care of him. And he took that car back. And then when he got there, he needed money. So he called the club here, asked him if he wanted it. So I flew to Atlanta and I drove it back in the middle of winter. It was very cold.
Wow.
And so I had that one. And then I had a chance to buy a 1977 fully customized car from a guy that was in New Jersey. So I bought that and I had that car for a little over 10 years. Just fixed mechanical stuff, but you know, it was a beautiful car, and I'm sure you'll see that. But and then a couple years ago, a year and a half ago probably, the guy that built that car called me and wanted to buy it back. He had promised it to his daughter, and he was going through divorce when he sold it. You know, that story that everybody has. So I sold it back to him, and then I had to hunt, found this one back east. There's a guy that specializes in C1s and C2s, but he had found this car, knew about it, so he went and we did the deal, and he shipped it up here and it arrived Christmas Day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, right on. I didn't expect it on Christmas Day. I thought it'd be 2 or 3 weeks to get here, and you know, we're opening presents in the house and knock, 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 and oh, Merry Christmas.
What a better Christmas surprise than a nice, beautiful Corvette. I can't argue with that one bit.
So here it is.
Awesome. So obviously it's a convertible, which is about this time frame in Corvette production, the coupes were starting to overtake the convertibles when it came to production. So this is a nice example of because the convertible examples are so beautiful. Yeah. And we'll get some pictures of this with the top up so that we can display that also. So let's go over the details on this car now. It's a 1970, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so tell me about the engine. What engine does it have in it?
It's the 350 cubic inch, 300 horsepower.
And I think they called that the L48?
Yeah.
Or even, the RPO is weird because when I was doing the research on this, it has both names, both numbers. It has the L48, but the RPO was actually ZQ3. Yeah, ZQ3. So I found that very interesting. It was the only engine option that didn't start with an L for that year.
Yeah. What's up with that?
Yeah, what's up with that? I'm not sure about that. So, and it has what kind of transmission does it have in it?
It's the 4-speed manual.
The 4-speed, awesome. Yeah, that's a great option. Is this the close ratio?
No, I don't think so. Okay. It feels just like the one in the C2 actually.
Does it? Oh, okay. And so the color is?
Mulsanne blue.
Mulsanne blue, and the interior, because it looks like it's exact match, but
it's supposed to, they say it's dark blue.
Dark blue, okay, yeah. I mean, to me, it looks like a perfect match. Yeah. And the interior of this car is in absolutely beautiful condition.
Except for the carpet.
Except for the carpet.
Yeah.
Well, that's.
I've got new carpet right over there in the box. So I'm going to put it in one of these days.
There's always something to do on these cars, isn't there? Yeah, there's always something to do. That's beautiful, yeah. And the rally wheels are something that I really like too. My 69 had the rally wheels. My 77 had the rally wheels. They are beautiful wheels. They're fun. They're traditional, is the way I look at it. So let's go over some of the other details about this car that are unique to what we call the chrome bumper era of the C3. Okay. Yep. So tell me about the lights and the fiber optics inside.
Yeah, they were ahead of their time in electronics. They were trying the fiber optic stuff instead of wiring, and it did okay. It was well ahead of its time, I think, because you know fiber optics is now the big thing, but back in 1970, and I've heard a lot of people had some problems with that, but my car has no problem with it. So
That's awesome.
They run just fine. Everything runs off it, so pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, my 69, they worked just fine too. It was a really kind of a cool thing. I didn't even have any clue that was an option back then, so that was pretty awesome. So by 1970, they had pretty much reached their pinnacle as far as the amount of power they were able to offer, because emissions regulations started getting in the way. So you got in just under the wire here, because the next year they started dropping the compression ratios and the engine options. This was also the first year for the 454, I believe. Is that correct?
So, yeah.
Yeah, so that was...
that's now the holy grail car, right?
Right.
The first year of the 454.
First year of the 454, yeah. I think it was 390 horsepower or something like that. Yeah. Very nice. So what are some of the things that you like most about this particular car?
I like the convertible aspect. It's really cool. I just think the lines on this car were meant to be a convertible.
Absolutely.
The top is just a distraction on these cars, I think. It's a little tight to sit in. You know, I got wide shoulders, but it's comfortable to drive. After you've driven the 54 and the 64, this is much more comfortable to drive. Has power steering, which is very nice, which the other two don't. And the brakes are a little better. So
are they power brakes on this?
It's not power assisted, but they just feel like they stop better. What else?
So power steering, would that have been an option in this year?
I would think so.
If power brakes weren't standard, I would think the power steering would be an option as well too.
Yeah. I like the windshield wipers, the way they work with the little door that lifts up. That's just cool, right?
It's cool. That's way cool.
All the vacuum stuff. I think they maximize the vacuum on this version of the car, because anymore, and it's not going to work.
Right.
The car just doesn't have any more vacuum to it.
Interesting difference about, because the C2s, they were electric headlamps that opened, right?
Yeah.
And interesting that they chose to go vacuum on the C3s.
Yeah, kind of like going backwards.
Right, exactly. That's almost the feel of it. It was kind of backwards technology.
The other thing I found interesting on this car, because on my 76 and 77, they had the alarm right here.
Oh, right,
And this one, I never even noticed it until I was sitting at a car show going, what is that in the back? Because there's no trunk here to open.
Right.
And so there's a key hole back there, and that's where the alarm was on this
Does
car.
the alarm work?
I've never tried it.
Never tried it?
So maybe.
You don't dare.
Maybe I can't shut it
Yeah, you
off.
wouldn't want the car to not be able to start. I don't know if it has a starter interrupt or anything.
I don't think so. I think it was just the horn.
Just the horn?
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway.
I know on my 82 it does have a starter interrupt. So
maybe, I don't know.
So what kind of modifications have you done to the car?
I haven't done any modifications to the car, but somewhere down the line. This was originally purchased from a dealership in Colorado. Then it ended up back east. But the exhaust system has been redone. It doesn't have the big mufflers in the back. It's got just the chambered exhaust, and that pipe goes. The two pipes go all the way up to the headers. So that's one, and then the radio is not factory here. It's got a little USB dongle that you can hook into your phone.
Yeah. But nowadays, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, well,
why wouldn't you?
It's nice. If you look at the radio, it looks stock. You can't tell unless you look down between the passenger seat and the console. There's the little wire there, right? But otherwise, you can't tell. But anyway, so they did a pretty good job with that. But and it's got two little speakers in the back. Somebody put some aftermarket speakers in the back there.
Nice. What about some of the styling cues on this car that are a little bit different from the previous year? Are you aware of any of those?
Yeah, the fenders come out wider.
Oh, that's right. They have the fender flares.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That was...
They're not as aggressive as most people do, right? Aftermarket, but it was just enough so they could fit a little wider tire underneath there and get a little more traction.
And it didn't ding up the paint too when there's...
Yeah.
Nice thing. And then the side vents are a little bit different as well, right?
These are the famous egg crate side vents, right? And they're real, so air actually flows through them.
People either love those or hate those.
Yeah, I hate them when you have to clean them, because I get in there with a Q-tip and clean them, because they get very dusty.
For sure, for sure. And the difference between the Stingray of the C2 and the Stingray of the C3 was how they spelled it.
Yeah.
It was two words with the C2, and with the C3 they combined it into one word.
Correct.
And both of them fit perfectly for each generation of Corvette, isn't that
well,
awesome?
Yeah, it's just the way to distinguish them. It's easy to distinguish them just by the body alone. But,
right.
But this is probably one of the most famous body styles for Corvette. Everybody knows this, every car show. Yeah, I had one yesterday, and people just love this car.
I would absolutely agree. This, to me, is the most iconic shape of the Corvettes. It is my favorite generation, but if you're a Corvette lover, you love them all no matter what.
You have to.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And the interesting thing that this was an evolution from the C2, which was derived from the Mako Shark prototype car.
Yep.
And this was just a variation on a theme with the nice Coke bottle shape to it and the big humps over those wheels. Yeah, these are just beautiful cars. And so this is your third C3, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we'll have to get some pictures of your 76 if you've got them, and your 77 as well too, so we can put those up on there and let people take a view on these. Anything else you want to talk about as far as the uniqueness of this car goes, or?
The top is in really good shape. I'm sure it's been replaced because it'd be all crinkly and yellow by now. So it's very white and it looks nice and it goes up pretty easy. I did have to fix the little pieces that go into here when you put the top up, the little adjusters. They were lost, so I had to order more of those and put them in.
Right.
And then the seats, the little locking mechanism down below when you lift them up so you can get into the back compartment there, they were really, really badly rusted. It must have been left open to some rain or something. And so I replaced all those, so those are all new since I got it. But that's about all I've done to the car.
Right. So production numbers for the 70 were like 17,000, a little bit more than 17,000. Yeah. From what I did the research on this, they started the production year a little bit late because there was a UAW strike, and so they carried the 69 into the 70 model year.
Yeah.
And apparently there was very little change from 70 to 71 as far as the car itself went, except for maybe horsepower on the engines. That was the biggest change. But other than that, there wasn't too many changes. In fact, I've heard some people actually consider 70 and 71 the same model year in some
They overlap, right?
Yeah, they overlap. So yeah, so that was an interesting thing. It's always interesting to hear the history of how Corvettes have gone through production, like the 82 through 82, 83 through 84 had that faux pas go on there. And so I wasn't aware of this until
it's even going on today, right? With the release of the Z06 and the CR1 on the C8.
Right.
Right? Because they keep moving those back and back.
Well, you know, I even saw or I read an article where there was talk, or no, it was a YouTube interview. There was talk from the Corvette chief plant manager. He said that they were actually considering producing the C7 and the C8 at the same time because they weren't sure how the C8 was going to be received. Isn't that an interesting thing? Can you imagine? Now that would have been an interesting thing to see. That would have been really cool.
I'm glad they didn't.
Right. I mean, what do you? Oh, this is a C8A or C8B or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
so.
whatever.